Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Workbench Wednesday, our first Workbench Wednesday for 2021. It's good to be here in a new year. It's certainly been an interesting day, but thank you all for those who are tuning in and maybe unwinding a little bit with some time at the workbench here tonight. Hope everybody had a great holiday season and is starting off the new year well. Last year, as we wrap things up, we were working on our build along project with one of our O-gauge house kits, and we'll probably catch up again with that in another 2 weeks. I'll show you sort of the final steps on that. I've done quite a few things to it over the break myself, and have it just about ready. But I want to get some more parts for that, and then do a few other last minute things with it, so we have some more topics to talk about. So for the night, I thought we'd take a little bit of a break from that project and do a simple, very low cost, very easy to do. You can do this in an evening, in one sitting type of a project that really is a great, ironically, sort of an unwind at the end of an interesting day. So tonight we're going to be making some coal loads for a hopper car. And well, we're going to be doing a coal load. Honestly, these same techniques work for almost any kind of load you can imagine, whether it's, a gravel or stone or even scrap metal, things like that. The techniques that we're going to be using are interchangeable across a lot of different car types. So we'll be doing that and show you how to enhance loads that you may already have or make some from scratch for very little money. And it's an easy project that anybody can do. So with that, let's get started. I will, since we've got a number of people tuned in, and I know these questions are going to turn up, I'm going to try and follow along with questions here on a second screen, but it is on a little bit of a delay. So if you have comments, please feel free to post them there, and I'll try and answer questions as best as I can. In fact, as I say that, I need to mute that computer. All right, that's better. And there's the first one. Any updates on the Vision GS and when is the new catalog coming out? So I figured those two questions would be hot on the topic tonight. So let me hit those both right off the bat. Before Christmas, I promised that we were going to try and ship those GS locomotives from the West Coast. The 2 containers had just arrived about a week before Christmas or so out west, and our plan was to ship them directly from port to dealers. Due to the logistics out there and everything being as congested as it was, we couldn't get a dock time at our contractor out there to do that. So those things, we made the decision to bring those here to North Carolina so that we could do it right. We knew we weren't going to get them out by the end of the year, and therefore decided we would bring them here so that we had better control over the process. One of those containers may arrive as soon as Friday this week, the other early next week. So I'm hoping that next week I'll be in the office inspecting inbound GS Vision locomotives and then watching them go back out the doors to your dealers. So I do apologize on behalf of the company for the delay. We did everything we could to try and get them here before the end of the year. But as I think you've probably all experienced from other things going on around the holidays, the shipping system has been sort of a quagmire nationwide. So we got caught up in that at the last minute. But we're doing our best to get them here to you, and they'll be on their way very shortly. In happier news, the next catalog, this is the date everybody wants to know, that'll be January 22nd. So just about a little over 2 weeks to wait on that, and we will have a new Volume 1 2021 catalog coming out. And I'm sure you all want to know what's inside of it. And in 2 weeks and a couple days, you'll find out. I won't be giving out any more secrets on the show tonight, though feel free to try and bribe me if you'd like. All right, so with those announcements taken care of, let me go ahead and get started on our topic of construction tonight, and that is our coal loads. Let me pan down here onto the workbench a little bit. My nice tidy mess of a workbench. What we have here, so I'll show you a finished product on a locomotive tender. This is with coal added to the top of what was a molded on coal load. And this is the effect that we'll be getting tonight just by going on top of what was already there. In this case, we also added some spilled coal to the back of the the tender deck and so forth for effect. We won't be doing that on the hopper car, but this is a very easy project. And the only difference here is we started with a mold that was already in place. So we could do something very similar. Pull out one of my wife's Christmas trains here, which she thought she just put away today. Here we have one of our molded plastic coal loads in our one of our ready-to-run hopper cars. You can see the difference between a real coal load and a molded plastic load. Quite a nice contrast. To get this from this, really all we have to do is the gluing steps that we'll be covering in a little bit to add coal to the top of this load. Very, very easy to do. With that in mind, we're going to start from scratch, however, on a car that has not already been loaded. I've got an HO scale hopper car kit here. I grabbed this one because it was literally the closest one to the workbench today. And we're going to build an inexpensive coal load to fit in this hopper. Now, to start off, we need some sort of a base to put the coal on. We're not going to just dump a whole live load of coal in here, although there are some modelers who like to do that. And if you've got operating facilities on your layout to load and unload coal, that can be a lot of fun. As soon as you derail one of these cars filled with coal, you have a different outlook on how much fun it might be, I think. But it is one way to do it. But if we're not doing a live load, we want to fasten this down. And yet still, it's nice if we can make this removable so that you can run either loaded or empty. What I usually use for a base is some sort of styrofoam. There's a lot of varieties of foam out there that you can get. One of the most common and easy to get a hold of is this white kind of foam, which comes a lot in packaging. So you can usually get it cheap and free. The problem with it is it's very pilly and very crumbly. So it does not cut very well, and it tends to make a mess. As you can see, as I try and drag a knife through that, it wants to catch and tear more than cut, and then you end up with a big mess all over your workbench. But you can use it if you're so inclined. Another option are the insulating foams that you can get at a hardware store. These are also useful in a lot of other aspects in model railroading. A lot of people use these as a scenic base on your railroad to build mountains and hills and so forth. And this is a scrap from one of those projects in the past. So waste not, want not here. You can get a large 4x8 sheet of this for, I guess they're probably about 10-15 bucks now, maybe a little bit more. I haven't been to the hardware store recently. I'll probably have sticker shock when I go back. But if you have some scraps of this lying around, it works quite well. This is about an inch thick, or maybe a little more than an inch thick piece of foam, which is probably a little thicker than what this is 1 inch, need for this application here, but it does give us enough to carve and contour with. To begin, we're going to take the interior dimensions of our hopper car and transfer them onto the block of foam that we have. And you can do that simply enough with a ruler, or you can also do, as I did here earlier today, to prep for this, line up your car, make your marks, and then cut out your foam accordingly. And you can usually get pretty close to accurate just by using the car itself as your template. An X-Acto knife or a larger utility knife actually works really well for this, especially on the thicker foams. A larger knife will work better. And even though this knife's a little bit dull, you can see that it still cuts through this much more easily than the pilly styrofoam. And once you get this knocked out, we can further cut load this size in half, especially since I'm doing an HO car and I don't need that much thickness. And I'll actually get 2 loads out of this. Okay. So this load is now out, and we could further cut this down in half, slicing down the middle and working our way around, and that would get us something that looks sort of like this. We'll just skip ahead. So, all right, looking at Well, I do this pause for a few questions. Have the scale milk cars arrived? Yes, they have. They came in before break, and they are on their way out to everybody. Most of those went to dealers already, so you should be seeing those very soon. And then Steve says, "Hope all is well on my end." It is. It's been a good couple of weeks with family. I hope everyone else had the same experience. So, and then also, how big a circle does 036 Fast Track? It makes about a 40-inch diameter circle. We measure the 036 measures to the inside rail on our O gauge track, so it stands. The 36 means 36 inches in diameter. And then you have to add a little bit to the overall for the width from the center line out to the edge of the track. So that's why we say it's about a 40-inch diameter overall on the circle of track. Likewise, if you see an 072 curve, for example, it's going to require a 72-inch diameter space plus a couple of inches for your space, so about 74, 76 inches overall on an 072 curve. Okay. All right. Once you've got your basic piece cut to shape, this should drop nicely into our car. Like you see there. Now what we want to do is style the top of this down and make it look something like the shape of a coal load. You can do this with a rasp, you can use this with a knife, whatever you have on hand to do some rough carving. It is helpful if you can do it over a trash can, but just to make it easier here for everybody to see, I'm just going to do it right over the workbench and make a huge mess. As you're doing this, you know, as I'm fond of saying with weathering projects and other projects, it always helps to look at prototype photos. Not all coal loads are shaped the same. I'm going right now for sort of a rough look, which would result from the coal being dumped from a tipple, where the car was statically spotted. If you look at a modern coal train that's flood loaded, where the train pulls through the underside of a loader and is loaded in motion, they actually have a very smooth profile across the top in most cases. So the shape of your coal load is going to be a lot different, and you may not want to shave it quite the way I'm doing here. But typically they are lower on the sides and higher in the center, and a little bit lumpy, maybe a few highs and low spots in the load. I don't have to worry too much about making this look pretty, and just making the base and a contour here. So as you can see, that is really rough, but it's good enough to get us going. Now, because this foam is sort of a purplish pink color, it's not going to look that great sitting in a hopper car, unless we're mining like unobtainium or dilithium crystals or something like that. We're going to make this a little bit, we want this base to hide. So the next step is going to be to put some paint on this and just cover that color. And the only reason to do this is, again, we're hiding the color. We're not, the paint's not going to have to be used to stick the glue on, to stick the coal down. We just want to hide the color and make it look, so you don't, when we're finished, we don't want to see any pink spots showing through the coal load. You can use any kind of paint you want as long as it's water-based. Do not use an oil-based or acrylic paint with this. Do not use a spray paint on this. That will attack the foam and it'll melt right before your eyes. So as long as you're using a water-based paint, you can get away with any cheap acrylic paint that you'd like, or latex paint. I'm using black here because it's going to be a coal load. If I were doing an ore load or a gravel load, I might use a different color to help help match whatever load I'm putting on it. Or I might also still go with black because it'll just end up looking like shadows when we're done anyhow. I believe this is a flat black. It'll dry fairly flat. That's good too. You just sort of want it to go away and recess into the shadows. The trick here is just getting it into all of the nooks and crannies as best as you can. Someone says they love the North Pole Central flat car with sled X trailers. That was a cool one. That came out of one of our artists, his design for sled X trip. He did a great job on that. Once we saw it for the first time, actually on, I think, our HO cars is where we saw that first. And I said I really need to add that to the O gauge line as well. It was really cute. As you can see here, I'm putting this on pretty thick, trying to work it into all of the gaps, and also a little bit on the sides. Not being too particularly careful, just making sure that it gets complete coverage. Right, and I think you get the idea. As you get to the end of this and it's harder to hold, I always go back to one of my trusty tools and put a toothpick there in the foam, and that gives you something to hold on to so you're not getting your hands all painted as you're working the foam around. Okay. All right, so I think you get the idea here on painting the foam. I won't continue to bore you with watching me paint pink styrofoam. I have one already painted from earlier today. I think you can also tell that this is the type of project where if you want to make one, you can make one, and you can make half a dozen or more in an assembly line pretty quickly and easily, and just keep on going. It doesn't require a whole lot of thought and heavy concentration, so you can just do this while you're watching the football game or anything else. I'm going to clean out this brush before we move on. Okay. Now you can see what we have here. Press that into position. Starting to look a little bit more like a coal load, but still we have a long way to go. So next we're going to do is actually add the coal. And you can do this with the load positioned inside the car or outside. I'm actually going to do it with the load sitting in the cars just to help contain it, the mess a little bit more, hopefully. Also, what we can do is put some paper underneath so that we can collect the coal that spills out inevitably over the sides and collect it and reuse it. We're going to start with a base of regular strength white glue. Try and get the multi-purpose or extra strong glue. There's also the school glue, which looks similar but is a little bit more watered down. And for the base coat, it is nice to have straight glue on here. And I'm going to put this on relatively thick. Might as well keep using the same brush. And then spread it out as evenly as I can over the whole car. Again, trying to work it into the various crevices. This part I might actually do out of the car so you can see it better. And it's important to get good coverage over everything here because this is really critical in keeping your coal load intact once you're done. If it looks like you need a little bit more glue, there's no harm in pouring on a little bit more. You really can't overdo it at this step. This will all dry clear, so you don't have to really worry about anything. Another little tip that I've seen some people do, and I've done on some loads in the past, I'm not going to do it here tonight, but really easy with these foam loads. On the underside of the load, you can attach any sort of ferrous metal, a little piece of metal in here, and then with a magnet, you can simply pluck the loads out of your car hands-free, which is really nice. You don't have to go digging around and trying to pull the load out. Now comes the fun part. We're going to add some coal. What I'm using here is egg coal from Scenic Express in a relatively large commodity. You can find this from a variety of sources at your local hobby shop in a variety of sizes as well, and it makes easy work. I'm just going to start this by hand and sprinkle on the coal load over the entire car. Again, trying to get even coverage, but not completely worried about if I go over an area 2 or 3 times and get a little bit more on there, not a problem. The glue on the bottom is a start, but it's not the final step in all of this. All right, that's starting to look pretty good. Tap off a little bit of the excess. All right, pretty happy with how that looks overall. I'm going to let that sit for just a minute or two, let things help to start drying. Oh, I see my wife Karen is on here helping to re-answer questions. So thank you. We've now added her to the Lionel roster. That's good. And that's sort of dried up a little bit. You can let this dry completely if you'd like. You're still going to have some loose coal sitting on top. So the next step is we want to make everything solid. And to do that, we're going to use more white glue, this time diluted about 50-50 with water. And this will flow through everything nice and easily. And then it'll take about an evening to dry hard, but then the coal load will be good and solid and isn't going to spill anywhere. For this, I'm going to pull it back out of the car so I don't get a lot of seepage all over the side of the car. Although, again, in fairness, you could do this with it in the car. It's not the end of the world. So if you have something like a coal tender where it's already molded in place, you can put a little bit of tape around the edge of the tender to try and control things. But usually it's not that hard. Remove this big bucket of coal that's tempting me to knock it on the floor here out of the way before my clumsiness takes effect. To help make sure that the glue we're going to apply goes in evenly, I'm going to put a little bit of straight rubbing alcohol on here first. This is 70%. If you have 93%, that'll work just as well. And I'm going to use a little pipette, which was right here earlier until I started working and everything got moved around on me. Oh, there it is. Just going to start here towards the center and add a few drops of this down the middle. And what this is going to do, again, it will break up the viscosity of the water so that it doesn't pill up and bead up on us as we apply it to the load. And last but not least, we can start adding our glue. Again, this is diluted 50-50 white glue and water. Some people also will use matte medium for this. You can buy pre-mixed scenic cement at your hobby shop if you don't want to mix it yourself. But this is an easy way to do it. 50-50 water and glue. And you see I'm staying in the center and allowing the glue to pull itself out to the edges. It's a little less messy that way. And just slowly adding it on. Because we put the alcohol there, you can see that the glue naturally just wants to seep down into all the corners and cracks and lock everything in solid. Don't be afraid to come back through here and do this a second time if you feel you need it. But usually once is enough. If you've ever ballasted track or done scenery on your layout, it's a very similar method. And you get used to very quickly understanding that you can put a lot of this glue on here and it's not gonna harm anything. You really can't over glue it. You can see when you can start to see it turning white, that's usually when I say you've got about enough glue on there because it will dry clear. If you just put a real thin layer on there, it'll sort of clump everything together, but it won't dry hard and you'll get pieces of coal chunking off later on. So it's nice to leave things. You want everything to be good and solid, and a couple more drops of glue aren't going to hurt anything. And now all you have to do is set this aside and let it dry someplace until you're ready to put it in your car. And this usually, like I said, I usually let these things dry overnight to give them a good chance to solidify before I handle them too much, because you don't want to start knocking things around before the glue has had enough time to dry. If I get the locomotive tender out here again, we'll go and look at the finished product. You can see how everything is matted down there. If I turn this upside down, nothing's falling off. If I rub my hands over it, nothing's coming off on my hands. It's a good solid coal load. So it doesn't take a lot of glue and work, and you can add a realistic effect to your trains in no time. You can do this with any size hopper car, any size gondola. Works really well. Yeah, the manual depleting coal load, yes, would be a great way to do that. One other tip before we go back to any other questions here, because you may have a lot of these coal loads. Once you're done, you're taking them in and out for your layout and modeling operations. It's easy to get these mixed up if you have different models of cars on your layout. So maybe you have some 3-bay hoppers and some 2-bay hoppers, and some of them are Lionel, and some of them are from Williams, or some of them for MTH or Atlas. They may all have slightly different dimensions inside that hopper car. So after you've done making a coal load, it's a good idea on the underside of the load, take a Sharpie and mark down what kind of car it is. Whether it's a specific car number, or if you have a larger fleet, this is in this case, Bowser 70-ton hopper. And now I know that this will fit inside any of those hopper cars on the layout. It's helpful when you've got a bunch of these in a drawer under your layout and you're trying to stage coal loads at the start of an operating session to know quickly what's going in each one. So highly recommend that you do that. All right. Let me pan back up and see if we have any more questions here. See my smiling face instead of talking with my hands. All right, let's see if we have any more questions that the rest of my family hasn't already answered for me here. Ryan is literally making it entertaining to watch paint dry. Thank you. We've moved from watching paint dry to watching glue dry. So that's it's an interesting program tonight. Yeah, PS4 flats with trailers look really nice. They did. Those turned out really nice. It was a different run for us. We ventured outside the norm of usually doing railroad trailers, and did some private owner trucking companies on those with some great color schemes. So for the guys out there who've been doing 1950s era piggyback trains, I think those will be a great addition for you, and they should be in hobby shops now. We're not going to have too many left back at the warehouse, so if you see them out there and you like them, make sure you go and grab them. There are still a few things coming in this month, I should say, that were supposed to arrive late last year. Again, with all the shipping issues we had, not just on the GS engines, but some other things. There will still be some Christmas in January for folks. And I know there's also a lot of things that have come in and gone out and have gone to your dealers. And then they've experienced similar issues as well, with frustrations getting things from their door to yours. So I hope everyone has some patience for that, not just from us, but also from your local dealer on their end of things. It's been a struggle all over to keep everybody getting all the packages that you'd like to have. It's the busiest season of the year, combined with a lot more people staying home and doing their shopping and delivery from home, has really pushed our infrastructure to its max. So things should start to calm down a little bit as we move into the new year, and things will be flowing more regularly. So if you had something on order with a dealer and they've sent it to you, on behalf of people I've spoken to around the industry, if you get shipping notices that it is shipped, that it's on its way. And once they've done that, there's really not a whole lot they can do until at least 30 days with the U.S. Postal Service to start filing claims and things like that if it hasn't arrived there. So that could be a bit of a wait for some people. But hopefully everything gets there eventually. I've talked to people who are missing things or waiting for things a lot more important or critical and time sensitive, like medications and things like that, than our model trains. So be thankful for all the good fortunes that we've had over these years to be able to enjoy this hobby and let it be a source of relaxation for you instead of frustrations. But if you did get a train from Christmas and have some frustrations with it and are trying to call into our call center or send us emails, again, have some patience with us there too. Our call center is working. Everybody is still working from home in that group, but they are answering phones and answering emails as quickly as rapidly as they possibly can. So we're trying to catch up from the backlog, but still keep working with everybody. They've been working throughout the Christmas break, so working quite tirelessly to get to you. If you do have questions, again, feel free to try and call us at 1-800-4-LIONL or talk to us at lionel.com are the easiest ways to get through for customer service. And I hope that you'll all do that. I hope that you'll all have a good start to the 2021. We intend to keep this series going. I've got a lot of other fun projects planned. We started a few things last year between the build along house project, as well as the module that we started building that we've got to get back to here in the not too distant future. So lots of fun Workbench projects ahead. Coming up next week on Monday, we have demos with Dave. He'll be back in action, and I believe Monday's topic is going to be a review of some of the locomotives from our last catalog, 2020 Volume 2. We've got some great engineering prototype samples at the office that Dave and his team have been working on, getting code ready and so forth, that I'm sure a lot of you will be very interested in seeing if you've got those on order. Those will be delivering the first half of 2021, and we can get you excited about a little bit of some of the stuff from the last catalog before the new catalog drops the week after. So look forward to seeing Dave next week. He will be back, and happy to have him back here again, going on, and he and I will be tag teaming back and forth every other week on these programs. So next week will be Dave. Someone said hoping to see a new Mikado next Monday. I'm pretty sure that you will. We've got one of those in the office that Dave's been working with, doing some tuning on. So you'll get to see that. I think the 2882s are there, and I think the 460 has also arrived. So there's several new steam engines that Dave will be premiering from the last catalog. And then again, January 22nd is the big day, and we'll have our lots of catalog announcements and our catalog shows and so forth after that going forward. Also, there will be some more fun events coming up towards the end of this month. Normally we'd be gearing up to go to Springfield this time of year. Of course, we're still in a show season that can't quite happen, but we will be having a virtual event through Train World and Train World TV. A lot of us manufacturers will be on there talking about new announcements and so forth. Of course, we'll have a whole catalog's worth of things to talk about in the 15 minutes that were allotted. So look forward to seeing us on there and seeing what everybody else brings to the table. So I'll go ahead and plug that now too while we're at it. And with that, seeing the comments, everybody, I want to thank you all again for tuning in. Hope tonight you learned a quick and easy project, make you want to try one of these at home. Go to your hobby shop, pick up some crushed coal and some white glue and a little bit of scrap styrofoam, and have some fun. You can have a lot of fun with these and make some coal loads for all those empty hoppers you've got sitting around. Mix it up, make a couple stone loads, some ore loads, some scrap metal loads. Use your imagination and put some interest in your freight car fleet for this year. All right, we'll see you back here again on Workbench Wednesday in 2 weeks. Until then, everybody be safe out there and stay on the right track. Take care.